What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Gameball. Today, we have a very special guest, not a new guest, a recurring one, a Gameball alum, came back to get his master's degree here at Gameball University. This guy right here, Markus Dixon, has had tremendous success since high school. He was named All Catholic League at Archbishop Wood in Philadelphia, and he got offers from just about every school in the country. Since then, he had 3 years at Clemson University, doing everything you could and more, and was part of the first CFP team at Clemson since COVID. And since then, he's spread his wings. He's flown out West Coast. Now he's a Duck fulfilling a childhood dream, playing for the University of Oregon. And with that, I welcome the one, the only Markus Dixon. How you doing, man?
I'm blessed, bro. I appreciate you, Matt. I really
Yeah,
do.
yeah, totally, bro. How's Oregon? I said in the intro, we talked about it during our last episode, and it was just I remember you said to me, growing up, you wanted to be a Duck. Now you are, and you're repping the O on your shirt. Like, how does that feel?
Yeah. It's crazy. It's a full circle moment actually.
Mm.
Just thinking back to recruiting days when I came out here for the spring game, had a connection with Coach Maringer and Coach Lanning. And then, just to, have that window open again, have that door open again from God, it's an opportunity I just couldn't pass up on.
Yeah, and what was that conversation like with Coach Lanning again? Because, like you said, or like I said, he recruited you early in high school, and then he came back around. I don't know how that whole process works, but what was it like seeing 3 years, even longer, possibly? He's still interested. He still want to talk to you. Probably still remembered you in the conversations you guys had.
Yeah, Coach Lannon, he's a special coach. Just simply on the fact that like it was more than just football always, especially in the recruiting period in high school. So when this opportunity presented itself again, it was just so funny, just feet on land back on campus, honestly. Just getting that feeling again, like, that sensation I had back from high school. With Coach Maringer, reaching back out. It was, a crazy day on the day I wound up, committing. Like that whole 48-hour process was insane. It's a whole story time for that. Um, but yeah, reconnecting with them, it's been great. I honestly feel like, this is somewhere where I feel home again. And that's what you look for when you're just looking for, somewhere to not only play college, but, excel in the classroom. And I feel like this is somewhere I definitely feel like home for the next 2 years.
Yeah, so I'm curious now. You mentioned the 48 hours was a whirlwind. What happened? You got to walk me through that. You can't not
So
do it.
yeah, I was in the portal for defensive end. I had some highlights up. A lot of people don't know I made the transition to DN my third year at Clemson. It was great being under Coach Rump. And I really appreciate him and Coach Swinney for allowing me to do that. But wound up going into the portal for defensive end, and then I truly thought that like I was going to land somewhere and have an opportunity playing defensive end. So I wound up playing wound up going to visit UConn. Took a visit to UConn, took an OV, and then I get a call on that Thursday before like it's the opportunity that the transfer portal window closes on Friday. And then they just called and told me that, like we had some guys coming back in who were on the depth chart previously. Um, it was kind of very upsetting. I thought that was going to be the place for me. And
Oh,
then,
so this is
just,
UConn. They called you and
yeah,
said, okay.
yeah. And then, just somewhere I had cool connections with them. That staff is from Toledo. And then a lot of them are close to my brother who worked up there over in the media crew. Um, and it was kind of upsetting at the moment. Called my mom, and, just explain everything that happened, and she fully understood it, and she just told me, God got you, He's got a plan. She told me just stay level-headed, and keep your faith, and that's what I was doing. Pretty much just I was, I was then sending next to I'm sending transcripts to Howard University, and I'm thinking it's gonna roll through with that. And then I sent a tweet out. I like said, I'm not committed to any school. And then Coach Maringer, he reached out. He was like, "Hey, bud, what's going on?" And then like it was like, "Yo, no way." And then get on the call with him while I'm connecting. And he's like, like how you been? Like, what's going on? And he's like, I have a kid who's, probably going to commit, but if he doesn't, I'll call you right back and I'll have a spot for you. It'll be at tight end. And this is just I was just like, Coach, like you got it. Honestly, like this is an opportunity that like from one from my natural, position, being an athlete, but just loving the game and tight end. Probably about 30 minutes go by and like I was talking to my girlfriend and I was just like, yeah, they like it's just too soon. Like it's not good news. That kid definitely committed. And then he called and he was like, just got off the phone with Coach Swinney. He said he hates you. He said, no, I'm just playing. He said he loved you, and what I would love for you to come be at your dream school. And then it was crazy. Really a full circle moment.
Yeah.
Um, just I never question God. He never makes no mistakes. So he never says oops. So I never lost the faith. And it just so happened to be at one of, if not the biggest prestigious schools, these past couple of years, doing really great in, football, making playoffs and stuff like that. Um, so wind up taking, the official visit that Friday and then committing that Friday. It was crazy. I just can't thank Coach Lanning and Coach Maringer especially for, believing in me and, seeing his vision, that he had since high school. And it just feels like, just feels right again, so very
Yeah.
excited.
Totally, man. And so you mentioned you said you were with your girlfriend and you got that call back and you thought, well, this can't be good because it was so quick. But when you're in that waiting game mode of like the portal, obviously I was never in it. I don't know what it's like, but I feel like it's a lot of contingents. Like, yes, it can happen, but this has to happen first. So whether it was 30 minutes or I don't know how long that period of time was, but like what were you feeling just like waiting? Like you want to go to Oregon, but you don't know what's happened. Like, you just have to wait.
Yeah, I still wanted to, not have all my eggs in one basket, just simply off the fact that, they pretty much, had a kid on hold and it was off of his decision whether I was in or out. Um, so I pretty much felt like a bunch of pressure. I was like, there's just no way like I'm going to be able to go here. Um, just off the simple fact that like, I played D in this past year and it was real shell shock. It was a real shell shock moment. Just simply, Coach Lannon taking that, chance on me, Coach Merringer taking that chance on me, kid from, across the country, at another school with, a couple years of eligibility left. So it was a lot of pressure. It was a lot of weight on my chest, so it felt relieving for that call to be the right one.
With Coach Maringer, he was a tight end coach. He still is, but he's also now taking responsibility as the offense coordinator at Oregon. So how was his communication like with you, knowing that he's also going to be the OC? It's a little bit different than before, where it was primarily just tight ends. Now he's doing a little bit of everything. Did you have to weigh that option as well?
I honestly feel like that was pretty much not really an option I had to weigh. I
Mhm.
feel as though what they put on tape with utilizing their tight ends and, with Coach Maringer stepping into the OC spot, it's like, it's going to be, 12, 13 personnel galore. So definitely wasn't, it was a no-brainer for me, honestly. Not something I had to sit there and be like, oh, like, like, should I think about going here? Like, no, it was like, Coach Maringer and what they put on tape these past couple of years, utilizing their tight ends, and, got another one on the way. Jamari finishing up his last year here. So, it's becoming a factory. So hopefully we can keep the line moving.
Yeah, I know what's I like to think about because it was Ferguson, Sadiq, you said Johnson, like a lot of great tight ends coming out of Oregon. You're a part of this lineage now. Are you excited to what's to come?
I'm very excited. I feel as though it's something that it's an opportunity that I'm one excited for, and two, just it's a vision that I've always seen. I wanted to be somewhere where the pipeline of tight ends continuously, are growing and then going into the NFL. So why not here? You know.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's a great place to be doing it at, and you got Dante Moore coming back. It's just they have all the traits and the talent there to help you excel. You mentioned something interesting though with Dabo and how he's coach manager. So you got off the phone with him, but obviously there was some communication. What was that like? Like knowing like did the Clemson staff have your back? Were people calling Coach Swinney? What was that process like in the portal?
Pretty much Coach Lanning, when I met with him on that Friday, he spoke with Coach Swinney. And, Coach Swinney has done, even when I did decide to enter my name to the transfer portal, he's been supportive. He just wants to see me win. He said I had great characteristics. I'm a great student athlete. And just told me that that alone will get me far. So he had no problem, with Marcus Dixon, doing a favor for him, trying to just get him to his next spot, his next destination. So very appreciative. Coach Swinney is just one of the best people I've ever met in general. So with the coaching staff connecting with them, it was pretty much easy because they're all like relatively close in some way or shape or form. But it was really good just hearing that, and then more of like Coach Swinney just wanted to see me win, more than anything. So just happy about that and blessed.
Yeah. What was that conversation like with him? Was it difficult to have?
It was because he's more than just a football coach. Like I really appreciate Coach Swinney because he made Clemson not only feel like home, but he made it feel fun for a young, collegiate athlete who's, going off on his own. And just really give us a lot of real world advice. Very religious and very confident in his faith. I'll be the first to tell you that. He definitely encouraged a lot of guys to, get right with their faith. And that to me just means more than anything, besides football. Um, Coach Swinney is, he's a great person.
Yeah, and talking about your faith, I feel like right now we're seeing everyone really talk about it. Recently, you see yourself grow as an individual then outside of football at Clemson.
Yes, I feel as though I just matured into a young man that, Clemson, produces. I feel as though Clemson does a great job with just honing in on the important details of trying to shape and mold young men for the real world. Due to things like Paul Journey and, certain curriculums we might have, outside of that.
Yeah, what was Paul Journey like for you? I saw that you did it. What was that
Paul
like?
Journey was exciting. The best thing I ever did was, my trip to South Africa to Cape Town.
Mhm.
One of the best and one of the, best decisions I've ever made. It was life changing. Not only humbling, but just like I got to put myself into another world, and not only live my life, but seeing what others are like, in their shoes and how they go about their day.
Mhm.
So.
It was pretty eye-opening then.
It was indeed. I came back and it was just like I had so many stories to tell. I've seen different views, different, mountaintops. It was crazy. Cape Town.
Was there a moment there where it like really hit you in terms of just, I guess, your presence there, but also what you're able to do?
I'd say probably are within the mission trip going to elementary school with kids, spending their recess with them. Like they don't know what situation they're in, they just know school and fun time. And
Mhm.
it's like as a collegiate athlete who has so much, going on, sometimes you can forget about the simple things as to one, what got you here, and two, what just makes you happy. I feel like they just reminded me of that. Very sentimental moment, down there playing recess with those kids. So it was fun. It was
Yeah,
fun though.
you were with other teammates, right?
I was teammates like Adam Randall, um, Kylan Griffin, a couple of cool guys like that that were along the trip.
Yeah, that's dope, man. That's awesome. Going back to the portal, if you don't mind, just looking at it, like when you put your name in it, it's a whirlwind, is my guess, right? It's a short period of time. Obviously, you can the commitment isn't necessarily at a deadline, but everyone kind of commits within the same couple of weeks. Uh, how different was it compared to high school?
Um, I feel like anybody could tell you that one, you're not going to have, the school you may want, or, schools that, may just have attracted to you quickly as they did in high school, just all at once. So, it was a timer, I was just trying to be patient, sitting, praying on things and, just talking things out, making sure I'm working out, staying up to date, just waiting for a call. So it's like, it was kind of crazy how, it all just flipped and became just like another like type of like perspective of recruiting. So I never would have thought I was in this predicament.
Yeah, yeah, because it's so different to me just like reading about it because it's like I don't know if the athlete's reaching out to the school or the school's reaching out to the athlete. If you're sending out film, how they find it all. I mean, you mentioned you had film of a D end, and some schools might think you're tight end or they want you playing tight end like Oregon. So it just seems like you don't have it's like speed dating. Everyone keeps saying that, and I think that's the best way to put it. Like, did it feel in a way like speed dating, but maybe different because you did have that prior experience with Oregon before.
Uh, it felt like that until I'd say it felt like speed dating once I got the call from Oregon. Before that, I was just playing the long game, just trying to wait it out and just see what's available, what's
Yeah.
best available.
Yeah. Did you communicate with anyone, like any players on the teams in terms of just maybe or maybe even players who graduated saying like, what's this program like just to get a grip on what you're getting yourself into?
I'd say probably a couple of guys, reached out and just told me, this is a great place, especially under Coach Lanning. And they told me you're gonna have opportunity. So that was like, one of the biggest things I was looking for. Just transparency with coaching and then a opportunity.
Yeah. So how's Oregon been? I know we talked about it briefly, but you're from Philadelphia, then you go to Clemson, which is like it's a big city to then a school in the middle of like nowhere, for being honest. Like Clemson, it's not really around much, but it's still a great university. And then you go West Coast to Oregon, which I feel like is a completely different country in terms of just how it appears. It's beautiful. It's all these mountains, water there, but it's not like the city. It's not like Clemson. So what's this third adjustment been like for you?
First I'm gonna just start with, time zone. I feel like it's just a whole sometimes I still got people, asking me what time it is over here. So just getting used to that.
Yeah.
But honestly, I feel like the college town vibes are here. I don't really know what it's like, in season here or, around spring for spring games and stuff like that. But I kind of get those vibes. Bigger city. It's more city-like, more spread out. And you do have cool things like, you got mountaintops, and then you got everything around. You got Portland, a little 2 hours away. Um, so being out here, it's been fun though. Honestly, it's so cool seeing how things are like run and how life is around you, off campus around here. It's pretty interesting,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
far.
How is it interesting? Like, is it just the way people act? Like, is it just different?
I'd definitely say the way people act. Clemson was more everybody was to themselves, but more here it's just like everybody's everybody's
They're buzzing. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
I guess that can mean a couple things in Oregon, but what
Yeah.
what's Eugene like? Is it a city? You said it's like a city vibe. So is it like a smaller city? Like not it's obviously not like Philadelphia, but what's it
Yeah,
like?
yeah, like a smaller city.
Is
When
it
you
like
come
Greenville
here,
kind of?
kind of like a smaller city type of vibe. So once you see it, and then once you get into the open area, you're like, okay, like Eugene is pretty cool.
Mhm.
So,
So, from a football perspective, obviously the facilities are different than Clemson in a way, but like, what's it been like being acclimated to the team? I don't know what like program. I know it's not spring ball yet. I just like, what's it kind of been like for you? Just getting acclimated from a football perspective.
I just want to start with like, the teammates. They're all great guys. Some guys I even, kind of had a connection with beforehand, whether it was in recruitment or, I may have known like, Mateo, DJ's little brother. So like, stuff like that. Like, it's so cool to like connect or reconnect with guys. They're so down to earth and it's just like West Coast vibe. So it's kind of cool like seeing everybody with like, the West Coast music, how they talk. That's one of the coolest things. But this team is very special. I can tell they really care. They care for guys who, whether you just got here, the previous day before or whether you've been here for 3 years. So I feel like this team is special because of the bond and how much they want to buy in into getting to know the guy that they're going to be going to war with.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, you talked about how you kind of knew some players like Mateo because DJ was playing, and it's those interesting connections. But college football, is it like a small fraternity almost where everyone knows everyone somehow? Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. College football is just we all relate to the same things. We're a part of that small percentage where we're up early morning. So, we relate to a lot of things. It's just the fact on who you know and what you know.
Yeah, totally. And getting to know your position group a little bit more, like the tight end room, are you guys pretty tight knit? I know, you have some players returning, some players transferring in, like you, and then some freshmen coming in too. So what's that been like? Everyone seems kind of new to each other in a way.
Yeah, so the bond, it already feels like we've been bros for over a year.
Yeah.
Um, but it's just simply, starting with, Kendra Harrison. I think he's just, got talent through the roof. Can't wait to see what he does. And you got JJ, leading the pack along, with me. Does a great job of just being vocal and just, being, a cool leader, for those, whether incoming freshmen or, transfer. You got Andrew from Penn State, uh, pretty cool guy. We get to relate because we're both PA guys. And then you got AJ from out here who's experienced. So and I think we do a great job of just communicating and know what we want, and we set standards that we want to uphold and hold for the rest of the team. So we want to just lead by example, and we do a great job of that so far.
Yeah, so being from like all walks of lives and also going to different universities and having different experiences, do you think that adds more to the tight end room then? Because maybe you can add an element, just be like, hey, I learned this at Clemson. And you can say, I learned this at Penn State. Maybe you're different body types, different play styles, but you all chip in different ideas.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I feel like there's no age on wisdom. So,
Mhm.
if you got something, if you see something, no matter freshman through senior, always correct it. We're here on one goal, one mission, and that's just to win it all. So whatever it takes, honestly.
Yeah. You mentioned music, and it's different. West Coast music. What are you guys listening to?
Well, I always been a West Coast music kind of guy with, artists like Blast and artists like, Blue Bucks. Um, but you got more artists like, Bino. Um, it's so hard. Like I'm still trying to get hit to it too, because
Mhm.
you got a couple LA guys, so
Okay.
it's like they really put you on to some real Southern Cal type of flow. So
Okay. Are they giving you crap for being from Philly and Skrilla's from Philadelphia too?
nah, they don't give me crap for it. Like
Yeah,
they either want you to dance, or they just asking about music, or they even know some music from out of the city. So that's pretty cool.
okay. Okay. There. Okay. Um, do they listen to any like old school West Coast music, or is it all like new stuff coming out?
They
Because
play a little bit of both.
okay.
Probably more leaning towards new, a
Hmm.
little new school.
Yeah.
But I'll hear, some Snoop in there, every once in a while.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. I was just wondering because the whole 6-7 thing was like crazy, and that was Skrilla, right? That was his
Yeah.
song, and so I thought for sure they would definitely give you something for it, but. Is that like I know it's like way past like I know it's way gone now. Nobody does it anymore. But being from Philadelphia, like was that what was that like? Like I'm assuming nobody would put two and two together, right? Or was it when you went home where people like what's happening with him?
I'm not gonna lie, like you'll have, whether it was, in the locker room at Clemson, or, even sometimes here, like you'll have the question pop up, like, have you seen him? What is he like stuff like that. So, I always, got stories and stuff like that, whether it was seeing a celebrity or a rapper, stuff like that.
Mhm.
But nah, they don't really, approach me like asking them too much about Skrilla in particular, but the 6'7", it is kind of funny. So like it's just like a natural thing. It doesn't even, like, people don't even think of Philadelphia when it's said. So like it's
Yeah.
just, yeah, it's crazy.
I don't know. I thought it was great. When it was in like when people were doing it, I was all in with it. I thought it was the funniest
Yeah,
thing. I don't know why. I just thought it was great.
yeah.
But going back to football real quick. So Oregon return a lot of production, man. I mean, you got Dante Moore coming back. You got the tight end room loaded. The whole defense, it looks like it came back. Obviously, Sadiq's leaving at tight end, but obviously reloading, receiving rooms loaded. I mean, this team is, in my opinion, they're not looking to win the Big Ten or just to go to the CFP, but like you guys want to win it all. And obviously, that's the case for a lot of teams. But you have the players, the experience, and obviously brought some new additions in. So is that like the mindset of the team right now? Of we're all back for a reason.
Most definitely the mindset. A lot of guys came back, for personal and, team goals.
Hmm.
But, we can't win, national championship today. So we worry about, just building on, the present, what we have in front of us, and just stacking days, just
Hmm.
one by one.
Yeah, and I know things didn't go the way Clemson wanted to go last year with that returning of production, but um, I know you're just one guy there at Oregon now, but having seen what happens and maybe not looking too far down the road, like is that experience that you're telling, like maybe you can bring any? I know Andrew with Penn State, same thing. Penn State brought back a lot of players, and it just didn't go the way they wanted it to go. And obviously Franklin got fired, which I'm sure bummed out a lot of people. But is that just having that experience, say like, hey, we've been through this before. Here's how to go about it almost properly. Is that helping at all?
I drop a couple of gems,
Hmm.
in there just from like, what I've seen my past couple of years at Clemson. So I definitely, try to, add on some things like, hey, like, I've been there, team on top, start the season, but season slowly caved in,
Hmm.
unfortunately. So just trying to, remind guys that, to stay hungry, and let's just keep grinding.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. And so, while you're at Oregon, are there any specific goals you want to hit as like growing as a player right now?
I definitely want to I definitely want to make an impact on offense as a personal goal. I feel like I can't wait to just be utilized in this offense per se. Uh, Definitely shoot, you know, I don't really have that many, personal goals here. I definitely, want to get the ball, score, stuff like that. But, I definitely want to go undefeated. I feel like that'd just be, uh, another cool thing to do to add on here to this prestigious school. So,
And when you came to Oregon, obviously you have 2 years of eligibility left. Was that something that you were, I guess, kind of like they were building on too, of like, hey, we're not just going to try and use you for this year and then you're done. We want you for the next two and help you develop into something further. Was that like a big talking point in the transfer portal recruitment?
it was talked about,
Hmm.
but we really just wanted to, because we got the added pieces to, keep building, for, a year or two to come and so
Hmm.
forth. But it was really just honing in on, what's in front of us and, we're all excited. We can't wait and it's gonna be a great season, honestly.
Okay. Okay. So I got a you probably should ace all of this. I mean, I got 10 photos. If you don't go like 8-2 at the minimum, I'd be surprised. But I figured since you joined a new team, you're at Oregon now, they're in uniform. So like if you don't if honestly if you don't go 10-0, I'd be surprised. But I was gonna show you some photos. I want you to tell me if you know who the player is from Oregon on this, all right? Does that work with
Okay.
you? All
Yeah,
right.
that's
So
cool.
here's the first one. All right. I expect
Dante Moore.
okay. Yeah, I mean that's QB
Number
one.
five.
That's QB. That's QB. What's
Um,
he like? What's Dante
he's
like?
cool. Like he's so down to earth. Dante's real open. Uh, Definitely, just he's a high communicating guy. Not only because he's a quarterback, but just because of the type of person he is. Definitely one of those people who I can see who just over time became instant leader, and the whole team respects him. We got his back for sure.
Yeah, when was the first time you kind of knew about him? Was it while you were at Clemson, knowing he's like this great QB at Oregon? Was it really getting there? Because I don't know how that all works, right? Because you're playing a different conference. You don't play Oregon while you were in the ACC.
Honestly, from speaking, like, you see guys, come from high school, and you hear about him, but coming out of high school, he was like, one of the top ranked quarterbacks. So, and then you see guys, just keeping up with, just social media, see how,
Mhm.
how they're doing and stuff like that. But, definitely much respect, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely, man. Definitely. Here's the next one.
But we got Corian Moore right there.
Yeah, wide receiver one. He's a
Yeah.
beast, man. I don't know if you watched. I think
Yeah.
he's like gonna have a crazy good year coming out because he was a freshman last year and he was balling then too.
Hmm.
And you know a thing or two about elite wide receivers having been at Clemson, but is that someone you've gone to talk to as well, being a receiver?
Yeah, yeah, DK is real cool. We have, some moments where we know just talking on the side. It may not even be ball, just trying to just get to know each other on a personal level.
Mhm.
He's been really cool and just seeing him how he works and his work ethic, he's gonna have a breakout year.
Yeah, totally, man. Totally. He's a very talented player. He's on my watch list. I'm telling you, he's gonna be a dog.
Yeah. Got my boy JJ.
He's I think that's
Yeah.
post victory, taking a nap after winning
Yeah.
the game.
Uh-huh.
You talked briefly about him, but him coming back to Oregon, that caught some people off guard because they thought he's going to the draft. We talked about him a lot though recently, but is he kind of taking over that leadership role now that he's, like is he the only returning tight end at Oregon? I want to say.
He is.
Mhm.
We got AJ, probably a year younger, but been in the system. But JJ, like JJ's been doing a great job. JJ is not only is a vocal leader, but he's a leader and he knows how to communicate, with guys that he knows on a personal level.
Mhm.
So he knows his teammates. He's a great guy around the facility. Everybody loves Jamari, and I feel like that's a bond where it instantly clicked. And he came from Louisville,
Mhm.
so he was a part of that team that wound up coming into Clemson and beating us, unfortunately.
Oh, the
But
Isaac Brown game. Oh,
yeah,
brutal, dog.
yeah.
That was,
So
that was a
we
tough
we
game.
got we got some ACC ties to us. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So is this his personality? Just being goofy sometimes? Is that who he is?
JJ, he's outgoing and just JJ's if you know JJ, it's just like he's a cool guy. So
Mhm. Yeah. Seems like a fun guy to be around.
yeah,
Um, Here's the next one. If you can see that.
B Finney,
Yeah. That
that's a
was a big
dog
game
right
against
there.
Texas Tech right there, dude.
Yeah, he was one of the first people I wound up actually connecting with. Like, soon as I committed, he reached back out, just getting to know bro on a different level, and then wound up seeing him for the first time when I touched down on campus. Um, and just was giving me the whole spill of how not only I'm taken care of here, but I'm at a great place where I get to develop.
Mhm.
His work ethic is off the chain. Staying back later for workouts. You'll see him in there. He's always doing something extra, literally. So
Mhm.
sky's the limit for B
Yeah, and
Finney.
you can see that on the field. I mean, obviously, I showed that photo just now, and two interception game against Texas Tech, and really changed the tide of the game for Oregon. But he was a freshman. I mean, having that work ethic at that young of an age, is that you think one of the main reasons why he's having such success already?
For sure, you put the work in, the results are going to come at some point. So
Mhm.
it's been nothing but that for him.
Yeah, and was it cool having him reach out to you so fast? I mean, he's one of the better players on the team. Not to say anyone has like an ego, but he doesn't even he's not in your position group. He's on the other side of the ball, right? He's playing corner, you're playing tight end, and he reached out to you and wanted to I guess get to know you right away. Was that pretty impressive to see?
It was, it just speaks volume for himself. Real humble guy, real humble guy. He's open to, the team. So yeah,
Definitely, man, definitely.
Coy, my boy Coy. Coy is
Colin,
really cool. Coy is
yeah.
really cool. Being a part of the whole newcomer workouts and stuff that we've had. Coy's just been great. He's quiet, but at the same time, like he's around and he loves connecting with guys. We got a couple classes together, so he's cool.
He's Mr. Do-it-all. I mean, he's everywhere on
Yeah.
the football field, every side of the ball. But so you mentioned newcomer workouts. What's that? Is that something for transfers or for freshmen or for everyone that's just new to the team?
It was a time period for I'd probably say for over a month, but I came for the last 2 weeks,
Mhm.
I think, and it was just for everybody new, trying to get them acclimated.
Mhm. And yeah, what was that like enrolling in the spring, right? I mean, you most of the time you come during the fall or the summer. I guess if you're an early enrollee, you come in the spring if you're out of high school. But what was that like? Was that just weird? Just like so it's moving so fast. Like you said, you find out.
Yeah, it moved so fast. They wound up telling me, you got to be here this day, and then I was prepared, but I wasn't prepared. So like, getting here so quick, and then just getting adapted to everything, so fast was everything was just moving so fast. But everything's all good now.
Here's the next one. You already mentioned him before.
My boy Mateo,
Mateo. Yep, yep.
yeah.
I was gonna ask, were you at Clemson when DJ was at Clemson? I thought,
So I was just coming. I was on my official visit. When I met him in 2022, and then wound up connecting with him later in the season. But I was not there. He wound up leaving in the year of 23, and that's
mhm.
when I had just got there that summer.
Okay. Yeah, well, dang, you're right. I mean, it is a small world, I guess, like a fraternity, right? Because you barely really knew DJ, and then Mateo gets there, and you already have somewhat of a relationship with him. So that's pretty cool to see, man.
Yeah,
Here's the next one.
DR.
Uh,
We got close instantly. Um, DR is really cool and down to earth. Um, he literally like puts other people before him. Um, he's not only, going to be a great quarterback one day, but, he's somebody down the line who, I definitely see, being a true brother. Because just of how instantly we clicked and, how we, hang out and, how we talk, about life on the daily. Just really, really, really humble and cool.
and what are those practices like? You got Dante, you got Dylan, two of the best, like, period, in college football. And they're both out there probably slinging. I mean, have you had the chance to catch with them or watch them throw? And what's that like?
Yeah, we pitch and catch a couple of times recently, but mainly like, just the communication and how they over communicate things, especially Dante, just trying to make sure everybody on board and yeah, let's roll.
Yeah,
Mhm.
how important is it to be a vocal leader at QB? I know people talk about it, but like on the football field, is it just saying the plays, making sure everyone's position, or is it motivating? Like, what's that like when you're in the huddle or just in practice talking with them, and what makes them stand out as a vocal leader or vocal quarterback, I should say?
As a quarterback, you're destined to, sail the ship. We're all, aboard with you and, we got your back. We're going to take care of you. I feel like quarterback really just it really depends on what type of quarterback you have. Some guys may not even be vocal, but it's kind of required for the position. But the guys that want to do the extra and go the extra mile to uh you know hey, what is his why? Why is he doing this? Okay, so when I can trust him on a little 4th and 3, maybe a pass, I can trust him because of his why, stuff like that. So
Okay. Well, okay, that's interesting. So it's just getting to know the individual, like kind of their motive, and
yeah,
it can impact you on the football field in a way.
yeah.
Very interesting, man. Very okay. I got a couple more, like I said. Um, I mean, this is a pretty good photo. I mean, he's just killing a man on the field, but
I want to say I'm still trying to know names.
his last name is a state.
Uh,
One of your biggest, his last name is a name of Oregon's biggest rival, I want to say.
um,
Starts with a W.
is it? I feel like I know this answer. What do I got a nickname for him though. It's like so many cats I'm like trying to get accustomed to. Um, oh man, this is like bad.
Starts with Wash, ends with 10. His last name's
Um,
Washington.
yeah,
Amari
but I'm trying to
Washington.
think of his first name. You said who? Amari Washington?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, Amari Washington. Um, nah, I just like met him literally 2 days ago and introduced
no
myself
kidding.
because I was asking like, who's our fastest D lineman, and they were like that guy right there. And then I was like, I got like, came up, introduced myself, and then he was just like, yeah, Mari, and just clicked from there. I literally just met him 2 days ago, like formally. So like
That's a good man.
that's great.
He's a great athlete. I can tell you that. I know he was supposed to go high in the draft, but he came back part of that reload for Oregon. So I'm sure you're gonna know him a lot, especially if you're tight end. I guess you're not gonna be blocking a D tackle, but you'll be
Yeah,
seeing him time to time on the football field.
yeah.
It's not a player, but this is a young Dan Lanning. This is your head coach right
What?
here. Yeah, some
Nah,
young
that's
photos of him right
crazy.
there. Isn't that pretty nuts?
That picture of him when he was younger may give it away more than the older one. I don't know why.
This one.
I
Okay,
don't,
when he's playing O line, I had no idea the dude played O line, but I guess when he was younger, he was
that's crazy. I don't
72
know.
right there.
Yeah, that doesn't even look like him on the right. Look like it kind of does, but the one on the left, like the far left, like
Mhm.
looks like him a lot.
So this was high school, and then these I'm guessing much younger age, but
Yeah,
is that pretty
that
crazy?
yeah, you can see it right there on the left picture. Like you can see
This
that.
one?
Yeah, you can see that. That's
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, you're right. I guess it is a little bit more noticeable. And then obviously, you know, the first and the second photo with him doing your pre went pretty crazy,
Yeah,
right?
that is crazy. Full circle moment, man. It's a
Mhm.
blessing. It's crazy.
I mean, what was that like? You're putting on the Oregon uniform again. I mean, the best uniforms in the country, some of the best uniforms. Um, and you see him again, and it's like that's got to be. I know we talked about it before, but that must have been so surreal, you know?
It was. It didn't feel real, for the first couple of hours because I truly was like, wow, like I'm back here, like the I told my mom on the plane, like when I get there, like I'm committing. So like it was truly just like the inner kid in me was out for my whole time that weekend because it's like wow I'm fulfilling it like actually this time
Yeah.
so like it was mind-blowing.
Yeah, I can imagine. And the last two I'll show you at the same time. Well, I guess pretty fast, but this one, this
Aaron Scott.
Aaron
Yeah.
Scott,
Aaron,
Springfield,
yeah.
Ohio. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then final tight end. Might have a different
um
number. You can't see his face. It's the only thing I could find in Oregon, but he went to Penn State. It's Andrew.
Andrew. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Andrew.
Okay. So
Andrew's a
hey,
cool
you
guy.
did great, man. You did great, by the
Yeah.
way. You got
Yeah.
everyone. You got
Yeah.
everyone. You were balling on that one. But yeah, I mean, a lot of great players, a lot of great people, it sounds like at Oregon. You made the transition from tight end to D end. Obviously, now you're back at tight end, your natural position. Probably more fun because you catch the ball. But for that however long period of time being at D end, what was that like? And what was that conversation? Because I remember I spoke to you once and you said you're talking to coach and you might play defense, but he was always joking. Like, he never turned out. And then next thing
Yeah.
you know, I'm watching. And I'm like, is that Marcus out there? Is he playing DN? What's going on? Like, how did that all happen? Because it felt like it was going to, but it wasn't. And then it
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. So I learned so much, especially being under Coach Rump. I give him his flowers. He is literally the guru, for defensive ends. Guys like Khalil Mack, his own son, he's put in the league. So it's like being under him and learning so much, learning schemes instead of my position, you know, my goals and stuff like that. Like just learning schemes of the defense pretty much helped me out. It honestly opened up, a whole another type of mindset, kind of just understanding. So like, kind of just catching things for myself instead of, just being on tape like, dang, like I should have knew that. Like, okay. So, got somebody, coming off the edge, blitzing, stuff like that. Different tales. I learned stuff from, Blake Miller. I actually built a close relationship with Blake Miller. Um, so like, learning stuff from him, practicing against him week in and week out, it really just, exposed, a couple of things that like I wanted to grow in. And, just it was a couple of days where I was just like, okay, like bet we could do something with this. So
Mhm.
it was great. I'm truly thankful for my time, playing defensive end, especially at Clemson.
You're talking about learning the concept, you're learning kind of the why behind it rather than just what you need to do to get to the quarterback or to force pressure. It's like how do you get it? And you said tails or tails, I mean. Like what would that be? Would it just be the scheme, how a team lines up, or would it be the tackle's position? Like what's an example of, I guess, of a tell that you're referring to when you're watching film or when you're talking to coach?
Right. Just tackles, have tails just like everybody else in their game. If he's looking right at you, he's gonna wind up blocking you, pass it into you. And kind of just knowing, the personnel, whether you have a guy who's going to, set you a certain way or, maybe play, to try, to not, give up, whether it's a sack, to you play to your personnel, and your playing style. So just learning how, O-line thinks, um, learning footwork, learning, how they set, learning my marking set, get into the quarterback. And then, also just probably I'd say, with tight ends, also learning more about the position I came from. And it's like, wow, I know that. So like
Okay.
it's cool. It's so cool.
Yeah, so you talked about having conversations with Blake, and I'm assuming you went after him a lot during practice, like being lined up against him. What were some of those conversations like? What were you guys talking about?
Blake is a dog. Like there was not a rep like, I didn't go all out against Blake. And that's simply because he was like, I need you to bring it. Whether we were playing against Troy or we were playing the biggest game of the season, obviously it would be the next game at Clemson. But, games like, LSU, games, where it's going to be an impact being made when it comes to, guys like he's going to be playing against like, Dylan Stewart, and face some a good amount of edge rushers. So he definitely needed the work. He definitely needed the effort, and I was all for it. So it was like okay, like iron sharpens iron type of thing.
Mhm.
So it was great, and Blake's really like cool, quiet, but like when you talking to Blake, like really, really cool guy.
Yeah. Did he bring out a different, I guess, animal while on the football field, going from quiet to you have to be a warrior when you're on the field, and he's playing tackle, which is
Yeah,
you
he's a
can't be
warrior.
messing around.
No doubt he's a warrior. I mean, just go ahead, look at the film. It literally speaks for itself. He gives it to you in the run game and in the pass game. And that's definitely something you look for, in a tackle. So
Yeah, and when you were going at him, was there like a moment where you kind of realized like DN is, DN is no fun, it can be hard.
I wouldn't even say no fun. I'd say like it was moments where I was like, yo, like this is like I see why like guys train the way they do, number one, and number two, it's things you do, you do and certain things you don't do, especially with whether it's protection sliding to you or examples like that. So just learning the ins and outs of stuff like that, yeah, that was amazing.
What were some of the things that you don't do?
I'd say, some things I did learn. There isn't a reason to really use a lot of finesse. I learned from Coach Rump that, finesse sacks weren't at, the highest percentage above, just going straight to a simple pass rush and, just simply, just long arming, and working off from there. And it's a couple of things, you could work from, a long arm. And it's not even about getting to the quarterback every time. It's about the effect you have and the pressure that you're doing. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, so hands, arms, I feel like your hands positioning for them as a DN, I mean, that's pretty much almost all the battle during the game. Was that something to it, like learning just like where to put your hands, where to attack? Like, is it attacking the chest of the tackle, like knowing how to get by them?
Ch Hands, is the biggest thing, in this game we play, but definitely at defensive end. I just start with the run game, your hands, feet, eyes, all of that matters. Um, And then, moving into, just rushing the passer, definitely just making sure you're getting that inside, chest peck, learning stuff like that, every day from guys like, T.J. Parker, Will Hill, Jaheim Lawson, Cade Denhoff. Like, I mean, those guys played a big factor in just, trying to just make me a solid DN.
Yeah, yeah. And another question about Blake. Obviously, he's entering the draft. He's moving up the boards very well. But what's something about Blake that you noticed in your time going against him where it made you realize he kind of stood above the rest in terms of just offensive tackles throughout college?
I think we were watching tape one day. It wasn't even a rep against me. I don't even think so, but he
Of
doesn't
course it
set
wasn't, right?
you he doesn't set you like like an average tackle. And even like a high level college tackle. He sets you like a true NFL, tackle. And it's like, wow, like that guy has great feet and hands for a tackle. He's going to be something major, in the NFL. And I feel like that's just something that, I learned just watching his work ethic, and then, him being frustrated at himself, for, whether it was, his footwork on a certain play and stuff like that. Seeing him beat himself out about the, little things, it like low key encouraged me, to be like, you need to be, just as hard on yourself, like how he is, to, not beat yourself up, but, motivate yourself and just keep going. Just keep building that at 1%.
Mhm. Yeah, it sounds like work ethic is the number one thing here. I feel like just from how I mean, in general for every football player, but as you're describing him, it's like the small things and talking to you to how to be a better player and watching film. It's like work ethic comes first from above the rest, is what it sounds like. And that's what's helping him be what he is. Um,
Yeah.
and looking at TJ Parker, another guy you mentioned, he's in your position group, defensive end. What's he like? What's his motor like? How is he as a player and as a I guess a leader in terms of just teaching you, right? It was your first year at DN, so I'm sure you had a lot of questions to ask. What was he like just as a person, as a leader, and then just, on the football field?
Man, TJ just he wanted to challenge everyone in the room, even himself at times. I feel like he was a great leader. He carried it well. He made, great examples, of what to do, and I feel like he is, one of, the best ends, going into the draft class. I feel like he's going to make an immediate impact in the NFL just because of how he carries himself. Great young man, and, going to be a great football player in the NFL.
Yeah, was there something you saw one time, whether it's a game or in practice, where like Blake, it was like, all right, he's different.
For TJ, it definitely have to be either um South Carolina my freshman year, or probably the Pitt game where he had 5 sacks. And like it's just like he came out that second half with the different mentality and really saved the game that day. So
Yeah.
like, man, that game he went off.
Yeah, so I mean, 5 sacks, that high school, college, NFL, that's hard to do, right? Unless you're Miles Garrett. I mean, that's hard to do. But seeing him come out because that pick game, that was the one where K ran for like the game-winning touchdown, right? That was that
Yep,
one. So, like
yep.
you said, it was. I mean, it came down to the last second. For those who don't play football or don't watch the process, I mean, how hard is it to have that big of an impact, especially in just like one half alone where he had the majority of the sacks?
Um, you'll always have, challenging moments throughout a game, no matter who your opponent is. So, honestly, to be able to weather through the storm throughout that game, coming out of Pitt, it was amazing. So being in the locker room like that, being in an environment where you got guys willing to, battle, not until the clock says 0-0, like we don't give up. That was special. That was truly, one of the most special games, I've seen, just from the will and the fight that, Clemson, we had in us at the time.
Yeah, and to pile up on those amount of sacks, is it just pure determination? Is it just like just going out there with nothing else to play for?
pure pure determination and a plan. Coach Rump always preach, have a plan down, have a plan down, have a plan, know what you're going to do, with the assignment you're given.
You're now tight end again. What you learned as a D end, I mean, what I saw tight end, like you cared about blocking first, which, I know whether whether you want to catch the ball or not, it's like you want to block first. That was your kind of your main goal. Having time at D end, did it help? Do you think it's gonna help you become a better player as a tight end, knowing what to expect and having been in their shoes before?
I think it's going to help me with just the mindset, like, okay, this guy doesn't want to get reached, but, I'm still going to go out there and execute that. And knowing that, it has to be gap scheme sound, very great fundamental defenses, are gap scheme sound. So just knowing where he's going to be, because it's not about where he lined up first, it's going to be about where he's going to end up.
Mm.
And just I just say, they're the physicality, I feel like it's going to help. Definitely help, being in the trenches, a lot more, for every play. So it's going to help me, going back to tight end for sure.
Yeah. And what we always hear about Coach Swinney, his Daboisms, like how he is as a coach. I felt like we're very customers of who he is. But Dan Lanning, right? You've been around him now. Does he have a certain, I guess, something to him that makes him be such a great coach as well?
I'd say just he has a philosophy that 1 + 1 = 3. So, it's not about, I can do enough, no, we can do enough, and we will. But it takes knowing each other, takes growing and living and doing life, with your teammates to be able to say 1 + 1 = 3. And
Mhm.
just outworking, just uh, really making an impact on the opponent.
Yeah, and you saw, I mean, I saw the videos at least on Twitter of him like, in the locker room. I mean, he looks like, I mean this in a good way, but like a nutcase where he's just yelling, like, we got to go out there, we got to kill, we got to be the best we can be. Did you kind of ever, not necessarily firsthand, but when you're going through the portal or you're just looking at Twitter even, like, did you see that and then say maybe that's somebody I want to play for? Have you seen that side of him yet? Did you see it just on like Twitter and it's like, yeah, I like what he's bringing to the table. Because I feel like it caught a lot of people's attention in a good way.
I feel like that plays a factor, but it doesn't really because of how I know him as a coach
Mhm.
and what I've heard and what I see. So I feel like, I'm willing to instantly, go above and beyond for a coach like that when regardless, of the message or tone he has, just because of, uh what what he allows his players to hone in and the information he gives out, and it's really really more than football. And he's very caring, and a coach like that, I'd love to play for.
Yeah, when you say a coach like that, it's just somebody who cares about you more than just for the product on the field.
More than just football, because it's like, okay, like I know this coach, cares deeply about me. He knows my why. So
Mhm.
why, am I not going to go hard, or why am I not going to, just, really make sure that, I don't leave the field with no doubt, knowing that, I gave it all I had.
Yeah. What is your why?
I definitely just say my mom. That's the hardest worker I know. Like, I could do a mat drill and be like, I work hard, but I know my mom worked, 8 times harder throughout her life just to provide for me, just to get me to where I wanted to go. Um, then that's my superwoman, and this all really started and was the foundation of just uh never giving in, really just came from my mom, and what she's done for my siblings and I.
Yeah, well, I can tell is that she's probably very proud of you and what you've accomplished so far, man. So you have a great journey ahead for yourself, you really do. And is Kevin Durant your role model, like the guy you looked up to? Is that true?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, I saw a clip of that and I was like a little caught off guard because,
Yeah.
what's your take on the whole Katie Burner thing? Have you seen that at all? I know you have. I
I'm
mean,
not gonna I'm not gonna lie, like, I just know he's sick, just like just being exposed like that.
do you think he did
But
it?
it's
Like, do you think it was him?
it's a high possibility. I don't want to say, it was him, because, a guy like that, he is the type to come out and say it isn't him, but he also is the type to be reserved, just from years on years, just like watching Kevin Durant, his social media. But that is hilarious. Like,
Dude, have
I'm
you
not gonna
seen?
lie, like I was caught off guard. The stuff he was saying, like you got what's his name? Jabari.
Dude, that was crazy, bro. He was clowning Jabari
Yeah,
so.
and it's like it makes me, scratch my head because Jabari is just another kid who looked up to Kevin Durant. And it's like, dang, like my own, role model who I'm playing, side by side with, really said this about me. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
The
I'll
Jabari one
definitely,
was
yeah,
diabolical, dude.
yeah, yeah, definitely gonna make the guy go harder for you now.
Is
So
it? I don't know, man. I feel like if I'm
nah,
Jabari, I'm
no
like, nah,
way, no way.
I ain't touching the
No,
court with
there's no
KD.
shot. There's no shot,
I'm not touching the court with the guy. It's just
Yeah.
funny. Yeah, KD's a goofball, man. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
just
I
a
mean,
troll.
this is your goat. This is your man right here. Like
Just
this
a
outfit.
troll.
That's your guy. He
Yeah.
looks like a barista in this fit, but that's
Yeah,
your
he's
boy.
tripping.
He's tripping. But yeah, well, I appreciate it, Marcus. Thank you for your time, dude. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you, man.